It's time for a lift, so let's have a model crane review. It's the Liebherr HS8130.1 duty cycle crawler crane. And as you can see, it comes in quite a large box. There's a very nice photo of the real machine doing foundation work. And on the other side of the box, there it is working as a dragline. With another turn, we bring up the end flap. And there we can see it is an NZG model and it's model number 1046. The box goes on to the Cranes etc. weighbridge and it's £5, 11 ounces, or nearly 2.6 kilograms. Let's open up the box and see what's inside. As usual, there is some tape cutting to do. And if we lift the top lid, we can see there's numerous parts. That's the top of the top tray, and underneath there's more parts, including the crane itself. Also in the box is an instruction sheet. It includes numbered stages to assemble the model, but actually they're not in quite the right order for what's presented in the box. With that said, most of the instructions are clear enough to follow, although not all of the features of the model are described. On the back there's also a simple reeving diagram. Out of the box there's a big piece of packaging to remove, and once that is out it releases the luffing A-frame. The first step out of the box is to reeve up the luffing A-frame, and you use a key to access the winch through one of the opening panel doors. You press in to release the brake, and here we take off the masking tape and release some of the rope. And as if by magic, here it is all reeved up. And the reeving is actually easy and straightforward. What you can't do is make a positive connection between the A-frame and the boom butt, and the backstay rams pop if you lower the boom too far. So in transport mode, this is the best kind of arrangement you can achieve. The handrails can't be lowered, and the counterweight ram jackets look like they should be pointing down, not up. We can add in the pistons and chains, but again this arrangement doesn't seem to be correct to the real crane. The pistons push in, but with enough resistance to be able to pose them at any extension. There's also a couple of pieces of handrail to press in. The crawler tracks on this model are not removable, so this is as close as you can get to a transport mode. You can add some access ladders, but they come off for transport. Next we can go to the rear of the crane and add the counterweight, and we start by stacking two large pieces. These then get offered up to the back of the crane where they hook on, and then we'll just make sure that they are properly clipped together, and then they are locked in place with a securing pin, and that just gets pushed into place. The lifting chains can then be hooked over the lifting points on the counterweight base. And then the last thing to do is to assemble the counterweight blocks. There are 4 on each side and they interlock reasonably well. And once they're stacked, they are fairly stable. This crane also features a couple of extra counterweights and they hook on to the crawler track frames. We continue on now to assemble the rest of the crane. And the boom sections are joined in the usual way, with the connections being secured using tiny nuts and bolts. They are very small, but tools are included with the model to enable you to do them up. Once the boom is assembled, we can move on to the pendants, and these are precision-made wire parts. They are joined together by using a connecting shackle, and once the wire loops are engaged, you make the connection with brass nuts and bolts. You then fit the pendants to the boom top and luffing A-frame. For this assembly we'll set the crane up with a compaction weight, and out of the box the end of the rope is just passed through an eye and tied on. But an alternative, if you've got it, is to use some jewellery clasps, and if you use those you then have a kind of a quick fit connection. These parts are not included with the model of course, but they make it easy to change the use of the crane. Let's check the weight of the model in this configuration, and it comes in at about 3 pounds 6 ounces, and if we convert that to metric we get just over 1.5 kilograms. Starting underneath, and the crawler tracks are metal and very detailed, and the base plate in the middle is fairly simple. The self-assembly jacks are metal, and there's some nice detailing on the underside of the body. Looking close up, there's Liebherr on the drive sprocket of the tracks, and there's a graphic on the hanging counterweight. The detailing of the new cab design is convincing. There's a grab rail, wiper and mirror, and a formed door handle. The handrails on the model are fixed and they are in soft plastic, and the walkway is solid with a surface texture. The detailing of the panels along the side of the crane is good, with panel handles, and there are sharp graphics. Steps rise up to the roof, and the handrails on top are also in soft plastic. The counterweight blocks are all metalled with the weights individually marked, and there's a large formed grille on the opposite side. Looking down on top, and there are tanks, and the exhaust system is in plastic, and the winches have decent quality rope. In addition to the other details, there are soft hydraulic hoses. The lattice boom sections are formed well, and the etched walkways add detail. The connection of the A-frame to the pendants is metal, but it hasn't been modelled as a working equaliser. At the top of the boom head there are metal pulleys, and big rope guides to stop the rope bouncing off in duty cycle mode. The compaction way is a solid piece with metal chains. The crawler tracks work well, and it's a nice smooth mechanism. Another plus point is that there are working rollers on the bottom. The width of the crawler track frames is adjustable, but on this model they are not removable from the crawler track frames. But even so, there are working self-assembly jacks, but there's no real reason to use them here. The mechanism for tilting the crane cab is very good. It's got a good range, and it's stiff, and it holds a pose. Down one side of the model there are opening doors, and that gives you access to work the 3 winches. Here the crane is rigged with a compaction weight, and it is used to compact ground and improve its bearing capacity. As a different option, you can fit a dragline bucket, and that requires a fair lead assembly to be attached to the boom foot. So here it is fixed, and the rope line runs through it, and it's designed like this because the rope will bounce about a lot. The dragline bucket is a very nicely detailed part, with proper drainage perforations. It's a high quality all metal part. Although not included with the model, this arrangement does allow you to add an old-fashioned type demolition drop ball. The one being used here is a lead fishing weight, and although in real life it's not something you'll see often now, it adds a bit of fun to the model. The last item which is included is a slurry wall grab, and this is used in ground engineering. To fit it you need to take off the big rope guide at the top of the boom, and that's done by removing the long bolt. That allows you to take out the big single pulley, and then the 2 halves of the big rope guide. The top then gets replaced with 3 metal pulleys, and a much smaller rope guide because the rope won't be bouncing about so much with this type of equipment. Next we reroute the rope so that 2 lines hang down from the boom top, and then the slurry wall grab can be attached to it. And here once again we're using some clasps to make the attachment quick. The slurry wall grab is a very well made metal part, and it's got wire ropes running around large metal pulleys. And with careful use of the winches, the grab can be operated. This is a very flexible model from NZG. Although in transport mode it's not quite so realistic, the 3 different configurations are good examples for a duty cycle crawler crane. With the exception of the counterweight lifting rams, all of the detailing is really good, and the functionality enables the model to be posed in many different ways. It's a little bit pricey, but good enough to be rated as excellent.